You know, the ultimate antagonist of every single human society isn't some comic book movie villain. It isn't a natural disaster either. Actually, it's the undeniable, everyday clash between our absolutely infinite appetite for things and our very finite, limited planet. So welcome to our deep dive into the basic problems of an economy, where we're going to unpack exactly how this plays out.
Now, it's a question we've literally all probably asked at some point, right? Like, why can't an economy just produce everything for everyone? Why can't we simply have everything we desire immediately? It sounds like this beautiful utopian dream. Unlimited smartphones, endless perfectly tailored clothes, free healthcare, top-tier education for every single person on Earth, totally on demand. But, well, the reality of our physical world slams the brakes on that dream pretty hard. And honestly, understanding exactly why we can't have it all is the very first step in understanding how our entire world actually operates.
This clash creates what we call the economic problem. It's the fundamental struggle regarding how we allocate our resources to produce alternative goods and services, and it all boils down to two real heavy hitters: relative scarcity and choice. Because we just can't have it all, we're forced to choose. The basic economic problem is, at its absolute root, the problem of choice. Pretty much every single problem in an economy branches out from this one unavoidable reality. So what actually causes this whole mess? Well, way back in 1932, Professor Lionel Robbins laid out three specific reasons, and they remain incredibly insightful today. First up, unlimited human wants. Our desires are endless, and they're recurring. I mean, you satisfy your hunger, and boom, a few hours later, you're hungry again. Plus, as society develops, our wants just multiply. We didn't stop at basic landline phones. We wanted smartphones, then better TVs, and faster computers. The list goes on. But here's the dramatic reality check. Limited resources. The things we actually use to make all those goods, the land, the labor, the capital, they are scarce. The supply of these resources has literally never been able to keep up with our unlimited demands. And finally, we have the fact that resources have alternative uses. Think about electricity. It can light a lamp, it can cook food in a microwave, or it can run a television. A plot of land could grow wheat, or it could grow cotton. You just can't do everything at once with the exact same resource.
You can kind of think of this as a massive collision. On one side, you have the human element, infinite wants that constantly compete with each other because, while they differ in urgency. On the other side, you've got the physical reality, limited means that have alternative uses. Where these two forces crash together in the middle, that creates the ultimate bottleneck, the problem of choice. This whole conceptual clash brilliantly illustrates the exact bridge between our endless wants, our scarce means, and the central problems that every single society, from an individual consumer all the way up to a global government, must face on a daily basis.
So, because of this massive burden of choice, every economy is forced to answer three inescapable questions. Number one, what to produce and in what quantities? Like, are we making necessities or are we making luxuries? Consumer goods like clothes and shoes, or capital goods like machines and tools. Number two, how to produce. Basically, what techniques are we going to use to make these goods? And number three, for whom to produce. How do we distribute that final output among everyone in society? These three decisions, right here, form the absolute backbone of any economic system.
Okay, for this explainer, let's slow things down and zoom all the way in on the mechanics of production, that second central problem: how to produce. Because once an economy decides exactly what it wants to make, it instantly faces the massive hurdle of deciding how to make it. For almost any good or service you can think of, there are multiple different ways to bring it into existence. Imagine a split screen in your mind for a second. On the left side, you've got the labor-intensive technique. Picture a warm, busy, bustling room full of traditional weavers. They're manually working hand looms to produce cloth. This technique obviously uses a really high amount of human labor and very little capital, meaning very few machines. Now shift to the right side of that split screen, the capital-intensive technique. Picture a smooth, highly sterile, fully automated factory floor. You've got these robotic arms weaving cloth at lightning speed, humming quietly with almost zero human presence. This setup uses a massive amount of capital, advanced machines, and very little human labor. Both sides are producing the exact same good, cloth, but the technique they're using to get there, completely, drastically different.
So how on earth does an economy choose between the bustling room of hand looms and the automated robotic factory? Well, producers don't just guess, they optimize. They choose their technique based entirely on minimizing costs and maximizing efficiency.
Think about it. If you're in an economy where human labor is incredibly abundant and therefore cheap, but heavy machinery is rare and terribly expensive, you are absolutely going to choose the labor-intensive technique. You'll hire the weavers. But if you're in an economy where machines are readily available and way cheaper to run overtime than paying hundreds of human wages, you're going to choose the capital-intensive route. It's just simple math for them.
This ultimate optimization game really boils down to this one powerful textbook guiding principle. Produce the maximum output at the absolute minimum cost, using the least possible scarce resources. That is it. That is the true golden goal of the how to produce problem. Whether it's human hands or robotic arms, the economy is ruthlessly trying to find the most efficient path to get the most stuff for the least amount of cost without wasting our precious, limited resources.
All right, so let's say an economy has miraculously figured out what to make and exactly how to produce it efficiently. There is still one massive hurdle left. Who actually gets to take the stuff home? We have to figure out how the economy distributes what it just spent so much effort producing. This is the classic problem of for whom to produce, and it actually happens on two different levels. First, you have functional distribution. This is how income is sliced up among the landowners, the capitalists, and the workers who actually made the goods. For example, if a farmer produces 10 tons of wheat, functional distribution asks how much of that goes to the workers who harvested it, how much goes to land rent, and how much goes to paying off the tractors. Second, you have personal distribution. This looks at how that final wealth actually lands in individual households across society. And this is where serious questions about inequality come up. Does everyone get a baseline amount, or is it strictly based on exactly what they earn?
Now, what is truly fascinating here is that different economies solve these exact same three central problems in vastly different ways. In a purely capitalist system, the market totally rules. You produce what's in demand for profit using the absolute cheapest methods possible for whoever actually has the purchasing power to buy it. But compare that to a socialist system. Here, the focus shifts entirely to society's needs. An economy might purposefully choose a labor-intensive technique if there is high unemployment, literally just to give people jobs, even if using machines would technically be cheaper. And finally, you have a mixed economy, which blends the two. The private market handles the profitable goods driven by purchasing power, while the government steps in to produce and distribute essential goods based on the broader needs of society. But regardless of the system, whether it's capitalist, socialist, or mixed, the final check is always efficiency. True efficiency means absolute zero wastage of available productive resources. It means it becomes mathematically impossible to produce more of one good without reducing the output of another good. If resources are misused or just sit there remaining idle, economic development simply halts. Efficient utilization isn't just about money, it's about conserving finite resources for future generations, minimizing environmental damage, and maximizing human potential across the board.
So we've explored the tension between human hands and cold machinery today. It's a tension driven by efficiency, by costs, and by societal needs. But as technology advances more rapidly than ever before, making robotics and AI cheaper and way more accessible, a pretty massive question looms over all of us. How will your economy balance human labor and automated capital in the future? Will the guiding principle of maximum output at minimum cost leave the traditional human workers behind entirely, or will mixed policies intervene to balance things out? It's a real-world dilemma that every single society is trying to solve right now. Thanks for joining me for this explainer. Keep questioning the systems around you, and I'll see you in the next one.